What's up, inmates? This is Peixe. How are y'all? I hope everyone is having a lovely day. This is prompt number 219, Group B. The prompt was a story about yokai. And as you guys should know from whatever episode it was that I did the amphitheater and the mermaid story. It was a mermaid, right? I really, really, really love supernatural creatures. And yokai is pretty much just, Japanese for supernatural creatures. And it means more demon, but really it's just supernatural creatures. So I was really excited about it. By the end of this episode, you will know, if you somehow missed it before, exactly how deep my interest in Japanese culture, etc. runs, because I added a lot of meaningless details and stuff that is probably not understandable unless you run in those circles. I did use honorifics and stuff like that. It's very weeb is what I'm trying to say. But that's actually a funny story, the origin of my interest in Japanese culture and stuff. And I think that Bones may have an episode coming up where that's talked about. How I was into Japan without being into anime and how silly that was. It may have already been talked about. I don't know. I haven't been paying too much attention to the most recent episodes. I need to actually listen to those. Anyway, let's just get right into it, and then I'll explain all of the Japanese stuff, etc. afterwards. So the title is Seeing is Believing. Haruto slumped in his seat, staring out the window. His tears had dried, and he felt empty, which was probably cause for concern, but it hurt less than feeling the sharp, jagged edges of his soul twist around the loss of his family. He'd been on a school trip to Okinawa when the apartment building caught fire. Many families had made it out. His parents and baby sister hadn't. Now he was on his way to Wajima, far from the city life he'd once known, to work the rice fields with his aunt's family. 2 weeks later. Ototo-kun! Breakfast is ready. Are you up? Haruto pulled the blanket further over his head, grumbling nonsense into his pillow. This family was exhaustingly chipper in the mornings. He still hadn't decided how he felt about his cousins, the twins Haruki and Koharu, aggressively adopting him. They insisted on calling him their little brother and smothered him in affection. At 19, they were only a few years older than him, but that didn't stop them from treating him like a middle schooler. The bed jolted as a large body slammed onto it right next to him. The blanket tugged down enough to expose his face, and Haruki grinned down at him. Tired again, Ototo-kun? Is the new school so different? Or have you been up all night playing tricks with the kitsune? Haruto glowered. Kitsune aren't real. Mornings just suck. Haruki pouted. Just because you've never met a kitsune doesn't mean they aren't real. He poked Haruto's cheek, expression turning more serious. You may not like mornings, but the least you could do is respond when Ko-chan calls you. We worry when you take too long and rush out without breakfast, you know. Haruto blinked. I'm sorry. I'll be better about breakfast. The way his cousins sparkled at him when he made the effort was worth it. 3 weeks later. Ototo-kun, come here. I want to show you something. Haruto set his homework in his textbook to keep his place, abandoning his chair by Koharu and her endless typing to go see what Haruki wanted. What is it, Haruni? Haruki beamed at him, pulling him towards the back door. I thought you might want a quick break, and you've never had the chance to help with my favorite chore. I thought your favorite chore was sweeping. Haruki laughed, hopping along excitedly as he dragged Haruto onto the porch. Are you telling jokes, Haruto? How cute! Now look, here's the chore. All we have to do is fill the bowl with honeyed milk and set out the plate of berries. Sometimes we do rabbit instead of berries, but sweet things are better. There, see? All done. Haruto studied the offering dubiously. What's it for, wild cats? No, silly, it's for the kitsune. The kitsune in our area is gold, and gold kitsune can fly. He motioned to the stone walls around the yard. There's no way cats or dogs could make it past those. They'd have to jump so high. Haruto considered the walls. Yes, it was unlikely common mammals were jumping over those walls, but they could climb. Haruki studied him. You really don't believe in kitsune, huh? Could be birds, too. You never know what's going to show up at your doorstep if you just leave out food every night. Haruto, really? Every rice farmer in town leaves offerings for the kitsune. He doesn't play tricks every night, but when he does, he takes the offerings and plays awful pranks on the farmers that forgot to set one. Old man Kirishima still complains about the one time he forgot, and all of his farming tools went missing for a week. Haruto rolled his eyes. Kitsune, sure. A likely story. He turned to go back in the house, only to startle at a shadow. 2 tails flickering on the wall. He whirled around, and Haruki laughed at him. You're easy to mess with, Ototo. He ruffled his hair and walked back inside. Haruto scowled. All a story, just as he thought. 4 weeks later. Haruto sat bolt upright in bed, shaking. Using the illumination of the moonlight, he stumbled out of his room. He dreamed of his family again. An awful nightmare where a happy family dinner dissolved into flames. He felt restless. He needed a breath of fresh air. He made it out the back door, only to trip on the offering bowl. Cursing, he caught himself and bent to clean the mess, but there wasn't any. The bowl was empty, as was the plate. The hair on his neck stood up, and he turned toward the yard. In a shaft of moonlight stood a beautiful man in traditional yukata, head tilted as he observed Haruto. The man had fox ears poking out of his long golden hair. Haruto held his breath, watching as tails emerged from behind the man. 1, 2, 4, 7, 8, 9. A kitsune. Haruto sucked in a breath. The kitsune laughed, then soared into the air and away over the walls. He sat down to catch his breath. What had just happened? Something in his gut told him he hadn't been hallucinating. He'd seen a man with 9 golden foxtails. A real kitsune. Haruki was right. Ugh, he was going to be so annoying when he heard about this. Haruto grinned ruefully to himself and raced upstairs to tell him. Okay, so that's the end of the story. There are some notes at the end, but I will go over those in a minute. First, I wanted to kind of go through the story, and give context sequentially. You can follow along skimming through the story on the Patreon transcript or just the copy of the story if you want. But anyway, I think it's really kind of a little pathetic that I submitted this to Styx as the judge, I believe, because Styx is fluent in Japanese. So, all of the tiny little Japanese pieces, those are just sad in comparison to the whole language index that Styx knows. So, I don't know. It's a little funny when I think about it like that. But Styx generously gave me the win, so I was pleased with that. I was really excited to write this piece because kitsune is actually my favorite type of supernatural creature. By a narrow margin, right? I like a lot of others too. Anyway, okay, going through the story in order. So, first things first. I always notice reading back through my stuff, I'm like, wow, I'm really melodramatic. It's like half of my characters have these horrible, tragic backstories where their whole family is dead. I'm sorry. I don't know why. I don't have any trauma in my life. I don't know why I I feel like it wasn't even necessary for the story to make him so traumatized either. This poor child. I torture my characters too much. It's sad. Anyway. Okinawa. Okinawa is one of the regions of Japan that is, well, it's an island, but is known for for vacationing, for the good beaches, for the resorts, for school trips, etc. And that is something that I did learn mostly from anime, but is true. So there you have that. Wajima, I'm pretty sure that's something I looked up for this story's purposes, was I wanted to look up a region of Japan where they work rice fields. So I did look that up. Wajima should be a real place. Right, Ototo-kun. Okay, so kun is an honorific in Japanese. Really, I should have asked Styx to explain Japanese vocabulary terms for me because I'm so worried about messing up, which is funny because I've been vaguely learning Japanese. Low effort learning, mind. Okay, I only speak English and Portuguese. I promise. Someday Japanese, maybe, hopefully, but, it's whatever. Anyway, kun, honorific, I believe used mostly with males. It's, a close level of It's a close level of familiarity, so there's that. Ototo just means, little brother. I have no idea what my pronunciation is like, so I won't even... I don't know. Anyway. Right, okay, so the twins are 19. He's like 16. Kitsune! Right. Some of you may not know what a kitsune is. The kitsune is a nine-tailed fox, right? Pretty common in Japanese folklore, I want to say, and mythos. And there's a version in Korean folklore as well called the gumiho, though there are distinct differences in the mythos there. I think there's a Chinese one too, but I forget the name. Anyway, kitsune are nine-tailed foxes, usually considered tricksters. Sometimes they'll appear in the form of a fox with nine tails, sometimes a more humanoid form, right? That's a lot of yokai stories have the more humanoid, wow, okay. Humanoid forms. But some of those stories also just have the more animalistic forms. It's folklore. People do what they want to do. But they're known for being trickster spirits. That's like the signature thing, always common to kitsune. And this story especially draws on like actual Japanese folklore of that trickster spirits would play pranks on you if you forgot to honor them. That's like the genuine folklore that I used in this story. I didn't come up with really anything of my own there. So that's fun. Where else are we going? Haruki is pouting. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, Ko-chan. Right. So he's referring to Koharu, but chan is an honorific also. I think you can use it with girls and guys, but it's much cutesier. So it's more commonly used on girls. Anyway, that's also a familiar honorific. And then Ko is obviously we're abbreviating Koharu. It's a nickname. It's, blah, 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 blah. Favorite chore. Telling jokes. Right, so just the offering thing that's, again, literally just lifted straight out of folklore. I really enjoy kitsune lore, so didn't alter much, which is saying something for me, because we all know, or maybe we don't know, I don't know if I've won enough with actual world-building pieces that you know yet, but definitely everyone in the Scorch group is very aware that I am horribly obsessed with world-building to a very dramatic and very concerning extent. So it is rare for me to not give my own lore to stuff. Anyway. Kitsune in our area are gold. Okay, so that is a reference to the fact that, foxes can appear in different color variations, right? You've got red foxes, yellow foxes, white foxes, whatever. And so in the lore, those colors are attributed to with different meanings for kitsune. Like white kitsune are healers, I think. They have the ability to heal. Don't remember what it was for red kitsune or black kitsune. I know there is something, and I definitely was very excited to read about it when I wrote this piece, however long ago that was. I've forgotten. My brain is full of holes. It's okay. Anyway, gold kitsune can fly. That is, again, just a part of the lore. Alright. Then the two-tailed shadow, which I'll explain when I get to the notes. And then we have a dream, a nightmare. We go see, yukata. Right, traditional yukata. That is, if you've ever seen, I guess, traditional Japanese garb, the kimono, right? And there's yukata, which is, don't quote me on this, but I believe it is the word for just the male attire, but I could be wrong about that. But anyway, it's like, more of a robe type thing. I don't really know how to describe it. I can picture it so easily in my head, but putting them into words, for some reason, very difficult. You can just look up pictures. It's okay. The internet is an awesome resource. Wow, this context giving is stretching longer than I expected. Sorry, guys. Y'all know I like to ramble. 1, 2, 4, 7, 8, 9. Right. So, in a lot of the tales that are focused on yokai, kitsune tales come with either with age, because in most lore they're like immortal or they live for a super, super, super long time. Like sometimes it's like, oh, you get a tale for every century. I think if any of you ever watched Teen Wolf, actually there's a kitsune in there for no reason at all. What did kitsune have to do with wolves? Nothing. But it's fun to draw on lore and pull in random supernatural creatures. Anyway, there's a kitsune in Teen Wolf, and I believe the lore in that one is you get a tale every 100 years, right? But in a lot of the folk tales, that's not necessarily how it works. It's not an age thing. It's like an experience thing. Like you play, a kitsune plays a successful trick that took a lot out of them. They might gain a tail, stuff like that. Anyway, this kitsune has all 9 tails, so that's like considered very impressive. Oh, if you're into what is it? Sonic the Hedgehog, actually. Tails, I believe that character is actually a kitsune, but he only has, oh shoot, I'm gonna reveal my sad lack of knowledge in this area. He has either 2 or 3 tails. I do not remember. I should have consulted my youngest sibling before I sat down to do this. But right, he's a very, very young kitsune, so he doesn't have that many tails. Right. And he uses them to fly, and he's yellow, a golden kitsune. Look at that, it drew on the lore just like me. Wow, 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 incredible. Very fun. Okay, now we finally get to the notes section where I just added some background that I didn't actually specify in the story. These are listed as fun facts. Fun fact number 1. The kitsune appeared to Haruto after 9 weeks. Get it? Hopefully your guys' response to that is as good as the response that my youngest sibling had when I was asked the other day by this sibling to read a Scorch that had not yet appeared on the podcast, because a big fan of the podcast, that one, wants to be paying for our Patreon is far too young to have any kind of income to actually do that. Very cute, though. I just give away everything for free, obviously, because, small child. Very excited by that fun fact. Hopefully your guys' reaction to that "get it" is as exuberant, but I doubt it. Okay, fun fact number 2. Haruto is written, so here's something interesting that I think is really cool about the way that Japanese works, is that with names, how do I even say this? Names can be spelled with different kanji, right? Kanji are Japanese characters, and you can just write names spelled with different words, is kind of how it works. Like, for example, you take the name Haruto, you could spell that with several different word combinations to give it a different meaning, right? If you are a watcher of anime, you may already know this, but an example that comes to mind is freaking Light Yagami from Death Note. His name is spelled with, I think it's the character from Moon, which surprised Misa at one point. Anyway, that's just, a reference to maybe make that more familiar, if you're familiar with anime. But, moving on. Which is funny and ironic. I'm hilarious. Please laugh. Haruki is written with the characters for eternal and rare. Koharu is written with spirit and sunlight. Okay? The fact that Koharu and Haruto share a character in common, the same Haru for snowlight, yes, for sunlight, is it's not uncommon to, well, I don't want to say it's not uncommon. I'm actually, only peripherally aware of Japanese culture, but to my knowledge, it is not uncommon for people to do that across families, to apply a same character. I feel like I've noticed it actually even more commonly in Korean culture, which is a whole different ballgame, right? But they like to use, from what I've seen, the same syllable in sibling names sometimes. So that's kind of cool. And they do something similar sometimes in Japanese culture as well. So that's what the Haruto, Koharu, Haruki, all having that Haru is for that. Fun fact number 3, Haruki is the golden kitsune's son, and those were indeed his 2 tails in the shadow. Koharu's twin brother died as a toddler. Haruki saw the family's sadness and asked his father to help him with the illusion magic necessary to appear like a human child. Koharu knows the truth, right? She knows that Haruki is a replacement for her baby brother. She knows that he came from somewhere, and he's not the little one that died. Their parents think Haruki is their real child, right? I think there must have been, he went missing, and there was maybe a day or two, and the family was looking for him more and more distraught, and Haruki stepped in, and I think that either Koharu just knew, or that Haruki expressed it to her at some point. But the parents do believe that they just found Haruki again. Which is kind of nice that they didn't, because they didn't have to grieve their baby child, but, it is kind of, it's a trick, right? Which is what kitsune play their whole lives. So there you have it. The original Haruki was written with the characters for sunlight and hollyhock. And hollyhock in the flower language means circle of life. Kitsune Haruki writes it differently, as I mentioned above, right? He writes it with eternal and rare. Differently out of respect for the lost child, and also because the secret in the new kanji amuses him. That's the eternal. He genuinely loves Koharu and her parents and his little cousin, and he frequently visits with his father. So that's kind of a fun changeling element that I added as well. Which may or may not have been pandering to the judge, because Styx is a little bit of a fan of the witch and changeling stories. Though actually I think Lost is even more of a fan of the changeling stories. So, if I ever need to pander to Lost, keeping that in mind. Anyway, I think that's everything I wanted to say about my story. I'm sorry that it's running long. I get ahead of myself.
Hey y'all, this is Styx. I was the one who gave the prompt this week, and consequently also the judge. This was one of those weeks where almost as soon as I gave the prompt, I kind of knew that Peixe was going to win. Just because, listen, I dropped the prompt, and immediately Peixe started freaking out about it. She was so excited to write something about yokai. It was actually adorable. And I didn't write the prompt with Peixe in mind, but I don't know. It just turned out to be exactly what she wanted, apparently. And so, I mean, like, on some level, I guess I do reward that excitement. But also, I gave the prompt a story about yokai because I have experience with Japan and Japanese culture. I lived there for a while, and I was kind of craving that kind of story. And Peixe really delivered on that. I really love how the opening of this story feels like a Ghibli movie. It's got kind of that slow, surreal, character-based progression that I really, really like. And so I just really enjoyed it, genuinely. And I also appreciated the way that Peixe worked the kanji and the naming into the end. I'll be honest, I'm not great at kanji. Like, I'm so illiterate in Japanese. Pretty conversational, but not very good at reading, so I can't, like, confirm the realisticness of the kanji, but, like, it was really fun to look through and be like, oh, hey, I recognize that one, and so those are the little details that got me.
So I prompted for the next week, and the prompt that I gave was... It would have been 220. Why can't I find it on the list? Is it not real? Oh, it is real. It's right here. Huh, I'm blind. Okay. Long live the queen? Was that the prompt I gave? That's such a basic prompt. Wow. Yeah, I don't know where that came from. That's like... I don't know. It's very, bland, I almost want to say. But also you can take that in so many exciting directions. So, kind of fun. So look forward to, that Scorch coming up. Long live the queen. I'll probably have something to say on it as a judge. Because y'all know me, I apparently love the sound of my own voice, which is so untrue because I have never listened to a single one of these episodes that has my voice on it. I only listen to the parts that don't. So, but anyway, I must love the sound of my own voice because I talk so much on these recordings and in real life too. I never shut up. It's all good. Anyway, please check out all the lovely stuff we have for you on Patreon. We have this hilarious AI-generated images up now, which I just find them endlessly amusing. I like playing with the AI image creator, and the way it portrayed us is just good times. I have a fish for a head. It's, yeah, you know, good stuff. And keep those fires burning, y'all. Have a great week.
The Cellblock Scorch is a production of Stellacore, an independent group of nerds sharing their obsessions with the world. We can be reached at thestellacore@gmail.com, through comments on your podcast platform of choice, our Instagram, Stella_core, and at our YouTube, also called Stellacore. Feel free to check out our other productions on our YouTube channel, or our cosplays on Instagram. If you would like to support our creative endeavors, you can give a one-time tip to the Ko-Fi of the writer of your favorite Scorches, or check out our Patreon, linked in the show notes. There, you can access the winning Scorches and episode transcripts for free, or sign up for Spark level support for $5 a month to gain access to all of the Scorch submissions.